Came back from driving the Fiat 500. I explained to them that a chap had rang just to say he was about to set off to have a look at the car. I remember it being this hard last time, but it does look a lot bigger, this one, than the last one I took out of the car. Blimey, Dave, you're a dent man too, mate. But yes, in case you doubted it, they really are just 2 cylinders. So we got someone out in the 500C convertible. And while they've been out on a test drive, I had someone else ring in the wanted to have a walk around video of the 500C, because I did video it, but I lost the footage. I had to do it to clear space, and I forgot it was there. So he wants to know, wants a video of that to know whether it's worth coming up from Cornwall. There's supposed to be somebody else coming to see the 500C this morning. So realistically, if I haven't got that thing sold or pretty much sewn down by the end of the day, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. The only trouble with this one is that they said that they've set off early this morning because they've got 3 to look at, which is fair enough. What confused me was some of them are manual. Some of them are 1.2, some of them are TwinAir. So I did say at the very beginning, before they took it out for a test drive, I did say, you know, to be perfectly frank with you, worst car salesperson in the world, if you can drive a manual, I'd get a manual 500 because you'll save an awful lot of money. You won't be paying a premium over and above to have a automatic. Because why pay the premium for an automatic if you can drive a manual? But they still seem keen to take the car out, so we'll see what happens. In the meantime, as their car is blocking in me getting the Mercedes out and cleaning it, I don't really fancy it in the rain anyway. I want to get the starter motor off the MGB and see if we can't get the old MGB up and running again, because the sun's been out a few days now and I'd like to get out in this because we know it's my favourite. Suzuki Swift coming a close second, so I need to get the starter motor off and find what I did. Take one bolt out, but unfortunately this is the trouble with this game, is I took one bolt out about a week ago and I don't know what I did with it now. I need to get organised in here. That's not really like me, taking the cars apart and losing a bolt like that, but hopefully it's a pretty generic bolt. So we've got to get the other one off, pull the starter motor off because the starter motor's sticking, try and free that up. If that doesn't free up, then I'll use the excuse to order one of the smaller, more powerful starter motors for it. And then we've got to find out what is happening with this ignition barrel, because I still can't get it wired up right. It's always one step too far forwards all the time. So when when you put the power, fuel pump's on straight away, then you turn and it starts, and then the third point where it should be starting is nothing, and then it just is running constantly. So I'm not sure what I've done wrong there at all, but I need to get it running and driving. Did I put the bolt up here? No. I shouldn't do that with those on there, should I? I need to get it running and driving, or running to at least be able to drive it down to Moors and then pull the connection off it, so I can have someone who knows what they're doing, look at the wiring and see what I've done wrong. But I want to be back out in this. I did think over the winter I might tackle the paint on it, but I didn't get a chance. That whole December there'll be no sales and I'll be able to kick back. Didn't happen, did it? Right, crack on. So whilst I've been fighting to get the starter motor out, which I don't remember it being this hard last time, but it does look a lot bigger, this one, than the last one I took out of the car. I've taken the distributor out, have marked it to show what position it's in, and I've trying to get it out top and bottom, and it doesn't want to come out. It's a right game. I think I'm going to swap that out for a smaller one, make life easier, and it'll be a better output than that one that's slightly faulty. Anyway, while I was doing that, the couple came back from driving the Fiat 500. I explained to them that a chap had rang just to say he was about to set off to have a look at the car, because they were sort of they still were going to go and look at another car, but had fallen in love with this one, but we're going to look at another car. So I explained the other chap was due to set off and I needed to let him know one way or another. And they then sat in their car. Oh, you must be talking a good 20 minutes. Sat in the car, chatting, came back in again and said they wanted to go for it. So we've sold the Fiat 500. It's got 6 months MOT on it. They opted to have the remaining 6 months MOT left on it because it was advisory free, and have a discount rather than me doing new MOT on it. So we've sold it to them for £5,900, I think we've done in the end, £5,900. So and she absolutely loves it. It's her first car and they just love it to bits. And I did say to them at the end of the day, the residual value of this will be higher than a just standard 1.2 manual, being an automatic and being a convertible. So when she decides she wants to upgrade, she'll probably retain more of her money than she would do in one of the other vehicles. But yeah, they absolutely love to drive it. Lovely couple. We had quite a long chat. They said the difference to them blowing my own trumpet. They said the difference to them was they'd seen quite a lot of cars, and I was the only person that actually knew anything about the car, as in detailed stuff about the cars and what potentially goes wrong with them, what's right with them, what the different specs were, had actually driven the vehicle themselves. They said that, and also they said the other dealers, the cars were being sold with dings and dents in them, and they kind of asked, you know, are they going to be done? And they said, well, we could do them for you. They said my car is presented immaculate, so I'm glad I got that bit of paint done on it. And they said, you know, even the interiors on other cars had things like, you know, dirt and mould in them sometimes as well. So they said by far and away this was the cleanest one they'd seen, and I was the only chap that seemed to know anything about the cars and how they drive and, like I say, all the mechanical side of things. So, and that's why I'm kind of inclined not to grow too big, because I think a lot of my sales is about me and the passion I have for cars, because I do love cars and it's my own business. And I think the danger is losing that if I grow too big, unless I can find very like-minded people to work alongside me. Anyway, back to struggling with that starter motor. We're going to bring this in now, we'll get another clean. I'm going to do the service on it as well. I'm still going to throw in a service because I like the idea of them going out with a fresh service. I did say that was only going to be included at full asking price, but I'd like to get it done. Yeah, and then they're going to come down on the train. I'm going to pick them up from Umberley train station, bring them here so they can pick the car up when they're ready to pick it up. So that's the two 500s gone out the door really, really quickly there. Lots of phone calls on this. I had another phone call while they were out, so it was actually 3 people in total looking to get this, which is funny because it'd been totally dead for about a week, and then bang, just 3 phone calls, which is why I have to be a bit careful when I haven't had phone calls in sort of a week. I get tempted to kind of drop prices almost straight away, but I have to. I don't know where the logic comes. I do find this a lot in this game. Sorry, I'm stammering a bit. You find it a lot in this game that it's quiet, and then suddenly you just get loads of phone calls, like everybody got up in the morning wanting to buy a car, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. So yeah, just stick to your guns for a little while. Right, so into work we've got Davey from Universal Scuffs here, who's on the Nissan Qashqai, and what Davey's doing for me today is retexturing the scuffed front arch, which wasn't something I knew you could do. So Davey, you sanded it down, haven't you, mate? Now what, you've got to paint that retextures the finish?
That's it, so I'm just going to fill the plastic and then put a plastic promoter on there, an adhesion promoter, and then I'll start the retexturing process. That's
great, because normally I have to go online and try and track the piece of trim down and then get my poor little hands dirty, that one's bleeding, and take inner wheel arches off and take the piece of trim off and all that kind of stuff, and normally brake trim clips and all sorts. So this is just going to tidy that right up, because that was the only thing that was letting it down. And then we've got to try and get into these little dents here and see what we can do about pulling those out as well. So yeah, so that's another thing that Davey can do for you guys. If you've got scuffed up plastic trim, corners of bumpers, side trim like this, he can tidy all that up for you as well. So while Davey's on with that, we've got the Fiat 500 back from Moores, having had the cam belt done. Fantastic service again, turned it around in 24 hours, charged me £100 labour for the fitting of the cam belt. I provided the kit, so it cost me, yeah, £100 to have the cam belt done. So again, it's a job I could have done, but while they were doing that, I was getting the silver one sold, wasn't I? Because I had people up here to get sold, so that would have interrupted me doing the cam belt. This would have been stood with the wheel off the air while I was faffing around doing that. And it allowed me to obviously finish off the CRV that time as well. I've also been able to wash down the Mercedes, so as far as I'm concerned, that's £100 well spent. Update on the Renault Clio, the blue Renault Clio that we haven't done a video on yet. Now, if you remember, I dropped it straight down after getting it from BCA because the front spring was broken and I couldn't drive it, so I dropped it straight down to Moores to have the front spring done. And Phil picked up and drove it down there from Moores, and he told me when he got down there, bad news, James, the gearbox feels a bit dodgy on this. And I was thinking, oh, I've got to do a gearbox as well. So, well, there's a few things I've got to try first. I've had some experience with these. So first of all, he said the clutch fluid was absolutely filthy, so he changed out the clutch fluid, which improved it. And then he rang me last night and said, I'm thinking I'm going to change the gearbox oil out. And I went, look, we're doing one of these things where we go around and spend all this money on bits all the way around the problem and end up having to replace the gearbox anyway. He went, let me give it a go. I've got a feeling about it. He said, because it's better, what was he saying, when the engine oil is cold, when the gearbox oil is cold and the car isn't running, it actually goes into gear quite nicely. So I was like, okay, a bit dubious. So he drained the gearbox oil on the Renault Clio, swapped it out, and then rang me last night and said, James, it's transformed. He said, the gearbox oil was horrible in there. It was really bad. And he says it's absolutely transformed now. So just so thankful that I'm working with these guys. And they're not playing part starts with mine. It's so easy to say you need a gearbox in there, but a little bit more investigation, a little bit more time spent doing some simple stuff first, and he's got me a win there. So I told him he gets another legend point for that. I'm not sure how many legend points he gets on his legend card before he gets some prize. We'll have to work that one out. Perhaps you can suggest down below. But again, fantastic service. So, you know, fantastic service on the cam belt on this, hitting up on the Renault at the same time and sorting that out. Just absolute legends. Cannot recommend them highly enough. So, well, actually no, don't all go there because I need them to carry on doing my work. So don't all go down to Moore's. Do bear in mind, obviously, with my pricing as well, they are working on cars for me every single day. So you can't take your car down and expect quite the same labour rate. You will be paying a higher labour rate on it, but it's still not outrageous by any means, and well worth the money because you'll get it in savings in terms of them not just throwing parts at your stuff and actually taking the time to work out what the problem is. Anyway, so onto the 500. What do we need to do for this can go out to the customer? They asked me to do a couple of little things for them, which was, they noted that the headliner had a few marks on it, and there's some dirt still on here, just a couple of little bits I missed, which I'll go through and do. And then we were going to touch in, I think there was a little chip on the bonnet just here, just touch that little chip in there. I think there's a little chip on the wing mirror there, might be worth touching in. I'll find it. Oh no, it's just a bit, no, it's just a bit of flaky paint from my floor. So yeah, it just needs it's probably fourth clean now, ready to go. Obviously we wet cleaned the seats before. I've got the doors open because there is still a little bit of damp in the seats that's going onto the windows. So keep my blood off that. Yeah, it's going onto the window, so we need to let it air out now the sun shines out a little bit. In the meantime, we'll hop onto the convertible one. I'll probably do that in here, jack it up, do the oil and filter change on that, so the service is done on that. Then that just needs another little wipe over, and then that's ready for the customer to pick up. So I'll try and squeeze that into that corner there. Then when I've cleaned that, try and squeeze that into here, and then I want to try and crack on with the Merc and get the Merc cleaned up. But I'm in two minds as to whether I get David to completely repaint the front and rear bumper, and whether I'll get my money back on that or not. I can't decide. And I am thinking I should really clean the what is that, B-Max, isn't it? Yeah, and the Qashqai when Davey's done, and just photograph them as is and get them up for sale at the moment, because the cosmetics are very minor on both of them that needs doing, and I can have that done prior to sale. Trying to get a dent man, please guys, if anyone knows a dent man in my area that will come out. I know I need to save them up 4 or 5 jobs or whatever, make sure it's worth their while, but I cannot get a dent man out for love nor money. And a lot of this doesn't need paint, it just needs dent pulling on it. And I know I'm not the biggest dealer in the world and I haven't got the most cars, but I'm prepared to save up all the work in one lump, so it's worth somebody coming up here and doing, you know, 8 panels or whatever they need to make it worthwhile. But I just cannot get a dent guy to come up here for love nor money. Not for anyway, for weeks and weeks anyway. So we've got a bit of G101 on the headliner here. Got a soft nail brush in the 500, and we're just tidying up this headliner a bit. It's just something the customer noted. There are a few marks on the headliner when they came and looked at it, and their cars are immaculate that they have, so they notice this kind of thing, and I'm happy to do it if it keeps them happy. It's only a few minutes work, isn't it, for a big fella on his back. So Davey, despite saying it's something he didn't think he could do, it's been too much of a temptation to try and get the dent out the back of the car, isn't it? Let's have a quick look at this. So is this all done now, Davey, this bit, is it? Oh, look at that though. No more scuffy scuffs. That's good. That's going to make all the difference. Now we can just touch that little bit in there, we're fine. And then depending on how Davey gets on, wouldn't it be nice if we get cleaning this and get it straight up for retail? Blimey, Dave, you're a dent man too, mate. Look at that. That's bang on. I'm well happy with that, mate. I'm absolutely happy with that. I wouldn't fiddle with it anymore, to be honest. Well happy. So now we just got this one down here. he says, almost challenging to Davey. I'm well chuffed for that. Davey doesn't purport to be a dent man, he isn't, so he's not, you know, he just said he'd have a go for me, but I'm well happy about that, because that means that car can be that bit closer to retail. Where's my coffee? Better pick up my plastic sheet before it blows away. So just going to touch this little chip in here. Now, Davey has introduced me to his little paint sticks, and these are a revelation. These things are brilliant. I used to use brushes all the time and then have to clean the brushes afterwards, and I never quite liked the sort of brush marks I got and stuff like that, but these are epic. You can load stuff up quite well without getting it everywhere. It doesn't run or anything like that, and you can really quite, like this little chip, I can load it up quite nicely to level it off, and then you just throw the little stick away afterwards. I'm going to give that another one just to sort of build up the layer on it, but they're just absolutely brilliant. I love them. I don't know how I didn't come across them before. So yeah, if you want some Davey sticks, hit Davey up. I'm sure he'll put some in the post for you for a price, but they are I think you have to buy them in massive bulk, so you probably won't want to buy them in huge bulk, but these things are absolutely brilliant. Really rate them. So we'll let that dry off and then we'll give it another coat. But yeah, no running, no getting everywhere. These just dab it in lightly, and they leave like an even finish as well. There's obviously no brush marks on it because it's just a little sponge head. Love them, love them, love them, love them. So just waiting for the 500 to dry out. Now I've cleaned the headliner. What I'm doing now, I'm doing a service on the TwinAir. Not quite as easy as the 1.2s to service. You've got to take the top cover off to get to the air filter, and then the oil filter's down there, and you've got to take off the under tray to get to the sump plug. Why they don't leave a hole for you to access the sump plug when they put under trays on cars, I don't know. But yes, in case you're down to it, they really are just 2 cylinders. Isn't it cool? With the little turbo there. Thought I'd have a quick look at the Honda, where the oil and filter was on that. Predictably, being a Honda, being useful, right at the front of the engine, and there's enough ground clearance for me to crawl under and do it, so I thought might as well do that while doing a 500 one. Hit the both together so they're both ready to go straight out the door. Obviously that one's sold, but that one will be then absolutely ready to get out the door, being completely validated, new MOT and the service. So that's draining away, and then we'll swap out on that. I don't know what the air filter's going to be like, I haven't looked at that yet. So getting a bit of progress on, and then move them all about and get this one in. Yeah, it's definitely been serviced more regularly than the book says, looking at this air filter. These are like giant i10s, they're super easy to service. Unclip air filter again. New air filter in. Clip it up. Job's a good one. I think I could service 3 of those in the time it takes to service 1 TwinAir. There we go, nice fresh oil. Bang on the right level. It's funny, I was chatting to Lee at Barham Engines at breakfast when we went to that track day at the weekend, and I said to Lee, I said we were discussing yet another 2.5 Focus ST engine that had gone bang, that he had to repair, and I was telling him the story of a dealer I know that sold one just a couple of weeks back. Guy took it all the way back up to Scotland, got up to Scotland and went bang. He's in for a big bill on that one. Apparently the 2.5 in the Focus is just renowned for doing it. I said, what are the engines you never see? And he was saying, we don't see the Kias, we don't see the Hyundais. I said, what's the best? And he said, what I'm always amazed by is when I get Honda VTECs in, he says, they're never in for being broken, they're always in for modification, for performance modification. He says, and the insides of them is always immaculate. He said, doesn't really matter what the mileage is. He said, the inside of the internals of the engine are always immaculate. He says, I can never believe it every time I open one up. And they do have a fearsome reputation, these VTECs. I'm really surprised it does as much MPG as it does. Like I say, the owners who run these on Honest John say they're getting 35 to the gallon average out of it. So really is a cracking package. I imagine this engine, if you know, service like this, will probably go on to a couple 100,000 miles comfortably. My mate was having this car, so let's go over and above. We're going to do a spark plug change on it. You see the breather pipe's a bit gunky from the rocker cover there, so we'll clean that out, put that back in again. Clean up all around the throttle body here as well. Pull. I find it's beneficial to pull the sensors and give them a clean with some contact cleaner. And I normally find that actually makes a world of difference to cold running on the 1.2s. It's not a problem as such, they just run a little bit lumpy before they sort of warm up. So it's well worth doing. If you've got a 500, it's a little bit lumpy at startup. It's worth doing this. It's all simple stuff. You don't need to take it anywhere to do it unless you really don't want to get your hands dirty, which obviously I've already cut my hand pulling a spark plug that didn't want to come. So taking this pipe off, gone through, cleaned all that through. It was full of gunk from just build up over the years. So that's the crank breather pipe. Then we've whipped off the sensor here. What's that going to be? Air flow? Not sure. You guys will tell me. But that was very oily, so giving that a clean off as well. So yeah, should make it just a bit smoother running. Like I say, no major problem. Just oh, some of these leads were a bit pants as well. So I've lucky, having done so many 500s, I've got spare leads as well to swap over. Coil packs can sometimes go bad. I think this one's all right, but I've got a spare coil pack there just in case, if I wish to do that later. I'm trying to think, there's another sensor I cleaned last time which improved things a bit. Don't think it's that one, because you can't that one out, can you? I'll remember in a minute. There we go, also topped up the fuel. She's idling nicely now. Yeah, just needs an Italian tune-up now. Needs to go out and be taken up to some nice RPM, but I think we'll wait for the cam belt. You know, really just put the cam belt in, so put a few miles on before we do that. So on the Qashqai, I got David to do the nasty scuff that was there on the plastic, and nasty scuff that was here on the plastic. So I'm ready to clean it. He's given me a bit of paint so I can touch in this area here. A couple other places to touch in. If he hasn't sold by the time he's back next week, we're going to do the mirror cap, and then we're going to do paint here as well with this light shallow dents just there. Finish it off like that. This here I can clean. This is much lighter. It's not actually scuffed the plastic, so I can clean that up. Touch that little mark there in, and it should be a minter. Absolute minter. Yeah, keen to get that one finished and cleaned and in, and then we'll get onto the B-Max. So Qashqai's had its clean up after David did those bits of paint, and she's looking fantastic. Really is. We knew it was going to come out mint. It really is cracking condition. I even found the original Diamond Bright kit in the boot, because it had the Diamond Bright treatment. For those who don't know what it means, it's a sealant they put on when you buy the cars new or nearly new. You can buy Diamond Bright sealant for the bodywork, and then it comes with a kit to keep it topped up. But yeah, look at inside, guys. There's a bit of dirt there for me getting in and out, but look at how it's all come out. It is mint. Really is. It's closest to new as a car this age gets, I would have thought. So I think we'll do a quick walk around video, then tuck it up in the showroom. Took the rubber mat out, gave that a good clean. Where are we? And then a treatment, so it's got a nice shine to it. I mean, it's still got some minor scuffs here and there that we just kind of touched in. Didn't merit getting the spraying everything on it, because I don't think people would pay quite the premium for a car this age to do all of that. So a few bits have just been sort of touched in where there's some scuffs on the wing mirror caps. But if you wanted to go crazy, you could paint all those things, but I just don't think anyone's going to give you that kind of premium for a car of this age. I put it up, took some photos and put it up for sale already. I put it up £300 under Auto Trader recommended, and had a couple of messages yesterday. Someone strangely wanted to part exchange a Nissan Duke for it, saying they wanted a car with more room in it. I didn't think the Dukes were that much smaller. And then when I said yes, I can part exchange at trade price, I said I can give you a price, but it'll be subject to the DPF and the dual mass flywheel being accounting, because people tend to get rid of those cars when those problems occur. Kind of went quiet after that point. So, and then there was someone that wants to come and see it on Monday. So, but obviously it's Saturday today, and people do sometimes just turn up. So we'll see.